15th, 2089. An enormous worldwide storm of unparalleled intensity is predicted to bring violent hurricanes and a barrage of devastating tornadoes, resulting in widespread chaos and destruction across the globe. The exact cause remains unclear. Some believe it is linked to a change in the Earth's magnetic field, while others theorize that extraterrestrial forces are influencing the planet's weather patterns. There are also those who interpret it as a form of divine punishment for humanity's failure to obey its creator. No matter the explanation, disaster is on the horizon. For the past 5 days, governments around the world have been alerting citizens to seek shelter and gather essential supplies. A global lockdown is currently enforced until further notice. It is now 8:16 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States, and the first signs of the approaching disaster are beginning to appear.
Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Whether or Not, your only source for, well, what else would we be talking about tonight? You guessed it, the big one, the mother of all meteorological maelstroms. That's right, it's time to batten down the hatches, folks, because the wind is definitely picking up and, well, let's just say Mother Nature is about to throw a tantrum of epic proportions. And you can hear it, can't you? That's just the prelude, folks, the opening act to what's being forecasted as a global storm. Not just a regional squall, not just a nationwide whopper, but a global storm. Now, I'm not one to cry wolf, unless that wolf is howling at 150 miles per hour with a hint of sideways rain. But I have to say, this has the potential to get very, very nasty. So, what's the forecast, you ask? Well, imagine taking all the worst hurricane seasons and tornado outbreaks you've ever heard of, and then cramming them all into a blender set on an apocalypse. That's the basic gist of it, folks. Severe winds, torrential rain, potential flooding, and the possibility of tornadoes touching down in, well, pretty much everywhere. So the experts are advising everyone to remain indoors, and I second that wholeheartedly. This certainly isn't the time for sightseeing, unless you're into that whole Dorothy in Oz thing. But anyway, make sure your pets are safe, your windows are boarded up, and that you've got a good book or 3. And speaking of books, maybe something light. It probably wouldn't be wise to start digging into War and Peace unless you want the storm outside to mirror the turmoil within. Speaking of being prepared, I hope you've stocked up on supplies, food, water, batteries, the works, because let's be honest, it's going to be a while before the shops are back open again. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to be seeing some devastation out there, and I have no doubt this storm is going to be intense. Absolutely. We're talking about forces of nature that are quite frankly terrifying, and of course, we've had local, national, and regional storms hundreds of thousands of times throughout history. But a global storm, that's a new one even for me. And I've been doing this weather gig for a long, long time. But look, I'm not entirely convinced it's going to be as apocalyptic as some of the folks at the Weather Service are painting it. Sometimes experts and forecasters get a bit, shall we say, carried away. They get a little over dramatic about weather events, and when the storm actually hits, it's not quite the Armageddon they predicted. It's like when you see a movie trailer that promises the biggest, most explosive action film of the year, and then you watch the actual movie, and it's mostly just people talking about their feelings. Disappointing, right? This, I suspect, might be a little bit like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the storm won't be bad. It will. It absolutely will. But I'm not entirely convinced it's going to be as widespread or devastating as the initial reports are suggesting. But regardless, I'm urging you all to stay safe. Remaining indoors, find something to occupy your mind, learn a new skill, finally alphabetize your spice rack. Just whatever you do, don't go outside. Get cozy. Enjoy it. I mean, how often is it that the government orders you to stay at home and get paid for doing nothing? Plus, you get to spend extra quality time with your loved ones and argue about all that stuff that normally you wouldn't have the time to argue about. Now, I'm going to take a quick break to let the coffee brew, because it feels like I'm going to be up all night. When we come back, we'll have Professor Oscar Wilkinson on the line, who will undoubtedly have much more informed insights than I do. So don't touch that dial. And remember...
Sounds like something ripped straight from a disaster movie. And in a way, it is, but the alarming thing is the science behind it, the indicators, the projections, they're all becoming increasingly real. I mean, we can hear it right now. The storm is brewing. So let's talk about what we can and unfortunately what we must expect. The most immediate and widespread consequence will be record speed winds, and not just localized gusts, but sustained hurricane force winds sweeping across the globe. We're talking about winds that will shatter previous wind speed records.
Yeah.
Rip trees out of the ground with ease, topple buildings, and create conditions that make being outdoors not just incredibly dangerous, but virtually impossible. And the truly terrifying thing is these winds won't be confined to the usual areas prone to this type of weather. We're talking about countries that have never experienced more than a heavy breeze, suddenly facing the full force of a major hurricane. The devastation could be catastrophic. These storms are not just about wind speed, they're about sheer size and duration. We're predicting hurricanes the likes of which have never been seen, but the storm doesn't stop there.
Storm doesn't stop there. We're also bracing for a barrage of tornadoes and not your average garden variety twisters. We're talking about massive destructive tornadoes that will rip across land and sea, destroying everything in their path. And just like with the hurricanes, these tornadoes won't just be confined to Tornado Alley in the US. We're seeing projections that suggest they will hit countries that have never had a tornado on record. And this is due to the overall destabilization of the atmosphere, the increased temperature gradients, and the clash of different air masses, forcing more volatile and unpredictable weather patterns. Coastal areas are really going to feel the impact as well. Those winds are going to create some massive waves that could easily crash over seawalls and flood entire communities. Erosion is going to be a big problem. And on top of that, we're expecting some seriously heavy rain of biblical proportions in many areas, which will obviously lead to widespread flooding in various places. So countries around the globe are racing to build flood defenses, which will be crucial, but honestly, the sheer amount of water we're anticipating could overwhelm even the best systems out there. But let's hope they work, and if that's not enough, we're also in for some heavy hailstorms, and we're not talking about tiny hail here. We're looking at hailstones that could be the size of baseballs or even bigger. I mean, just imagine the kind of damage that could cause. It's scary to even think about.
As you can hear, the storm, the winds are really building in intensity out there. Even here inside the studio, we can feel the pressure mounting. We're hearing things being thrown about outside, and this is only the beginning. This is the very earliest stages of what we're all about to experience. And even this is scary enough. But what's even more troubling are the first reports we're getting in from around the world. We're hearing confirmed reports of twisters, tornadoes touching down, not yet here in the United States, thankfully, but in southern Europe, parts of India, across Western Asia and Northwest Africa. Some of them are being reported to be massive, truly massive, others relatively small, but they are already causing significant damage in those areas, and there's no doubt that we will see similar development here in the United States as this global storm develops and intensifies. Now, I know some of you are thinking, wait, hurricanes and tornadoes, how is that even possible? It's a valid question. The traditional understanding is that a hurricane's powerful winds can actually suppress the formation of tornadoes in its immediate vicinity. And the intense downdrafts and shear can inhibit the localized, rotating thunderstorms necessary for tornado development. However, and this is a crucial, the sheer scale of this global storm is throwing those traditional models out the window. Think of it this way. The immense energy contained within this system is creating highly unstable atmospheric conditions. And the interaction between the hurricane force winds and the pre-existing weather patterns can create pockets of extreme wind shear. Wind shear, for those unfamiliar, is the difference in wind speed and direction over a short distance. And this shear can generate rotating columns of air, the very building blocks of tornadoes. As well as that, the sheer amount of moisture being drawn into this storm is unprecedented. And this moisture fuels supercell thunderstorms, which are the type of storms that most frequently produce tornadoes. So while the immediate eye of the hurricane might not see very many tornadoes, the outer bands in the area surrounding the hurricane are ripe for tornado development. And because the energy is being channeled into these systems, any storms capable of making tornadoes could be incredibly powerful. But even if you're not in an area directly affected by the hurricane's winds, please don't think you're safe. Because the reality is that those regions not experiencing hurricane force winds are, unfortunately, highly vulnerable to tornado development. The same atmospheric instability, the same extreme wind shear, the same abundance of moisture are all present. And in fact, because these areas aren't experiencing the overarching suppressive effect of the hurricane itself, they could see even more intense tornado activity. And we're talking about the potential for massive tornadoes, some of the biggest, if not the biggest, we have ever seen. I mean, these could be multi-vortex tornadoes with multiple smaller tornadoes rotating around a central core, increasing their destructive potential exponentially. Meteorologists are working around the clock to track this global storm, but they are...
This is a nationwide emergency alert system announcement issued on behalf of the United States government. A global storm of unprecedented proportions is currently unfolding. We are observing severe and escalating weather events across the United States and around the globe. This includes hurricane-force winds, the formation of tornadoes, torrential rain, destructive hailstorms, severe and frequent lightning, and significant storm surge anticipated around all coastal areas. This global storm is currently in its early stages, and all data indicates its intensity is continuing to increase. Your safety is our utmost priority. To protect yourself and your loved ones, you must follow these instructions. Do not, under any circumstances, go outside. The combination of extreme weather poses a significant threat to life. The consequences of venturing outdoors during the storm could be fatal. Let us reiterate, stay indoors. Seek shelter in the most interior room of your home, away from windows and exterior walls. May we also remind you that due to the severity of this national emergency, you are required to remain indoors by law until further notice. This measure is in place to ensure public safety and facilitate emergency response efforts. We understand this is a difficult situation. We are monitoring the storm closely and will provide further updates as they become available. Please stay tuned to your local news channels and official government communication channels for the latest information. This concludes this emergency alert.
Yo, are we back on the air? Can somebody confirm if we back on the air? Motherfucking emergency alert interrupting my flow, man. Robot ass motherfucker. Oh shit. We back on. What? We been back on the whole time? Damn. The FCC gonna have a field day now, man. Welcome back, everybody. Yo, tell my peeps what they be listening to.
You're listening to Radio Apocalypse. Rocking those hips, nibbling on them BJ lips, and spanking all the wobbly bits.
That's right. Welcome back to the show, y'all. We got interrupted there by that emergency alert system announcement, which was just reminding all the blockheads out there not to go outside. I mean, I could have told you that. Ain't no need to be cutting off DJ Apocalypse mid-flow to remind a couple of donut heads that they shouldn't be outside right now. If they need reminding of that, maybe it's best they do go outside and let Mother Nature blow them someplace else where they ain't blocking up the sidewalks with they dumbass stupid heads. I don't know what the wind speed is out there right now, but I'm pretty sure I heard a cat flying past the studio window at about 300 miles an hour. See, that's the thing about cats, man. They curious, they want to know what's happening all the time and investigate shit, and they risk their lives to do it, all 9 of them. It's like my man DJ Fluffy Pussy, sticking his furry nose where it ain't welcome. He spent more time in A&E at the operating table than the surgeons who work there. He's been shot, he's been electrocuted, he's been mauled by a pit bull, he's been run over twice, and he just continued doing crazy shit. But anyway, hopefully we don't get interrupted again. We don't need all that this is an emergency bullshit. We know it's an emergency. There's cats blowing about in the wind. I mean, listen to that. That's crazy. Just listen to that. I don't know how long the studio can hold out with that kind of shit. And this is only the beginning. Imagine when the twisters start ripping through here, they're going to find my shredded up ass 500 miles away in a field in Mississippi. Now, in case you didn't hear, the twisters have been reported here in the United States now too. First, they was reported in Europe, Western Asia, North Africa, and a bunch of other places I didn't even know existed, like Madagascar. Man, you know the world gone batshit crazy when they naming countries after cartoon animations, but anyway, yeah, they are here. The twisters are here, people. We gonna be getting sucked up and fucked up for real, y'all. So make your peace. Any grudges you be holding on, you let them go. You hear me? Don't leave this world with hate in your heart. That was my pop's motto, and he lived by it for a couple days until he said, fuck it, and died a very resentful man. But that's not the point. The point is, make peace where peace can be made. You never know when you might be talking to someone for the last time. That's why when I was leaving my house today to come to the studio, I held DJ Fluffy Pussy tight in my arms, stroked that soft, delicate fur, gazed into them big green eyes while he whispered soft purring sounds in my ear. And I said, Fluffy, you know you the best damn pussy I ever had. And that way, whatever happens, I know that I can leave this world knowing that my pussy got all the loving it deserved. Anyway, wherever you are, whoever you be with, whatever you be doing, DJ Apocalypse be thinking of you. We may face hurricanes in all their fury. We may face tornadoes in all their twistiness. We may face hail as big as the balls of an unspunk blue whale. We may face the wind, the rain, the storm, and the waves. We may face death, but in the words of DJ Apocalypse, now listen to this, because this is some wise shit. And I've been waiting for the right time to unleash this quote upon the world. So all y'all better listen up and get ready to have your minds blown. In the words of DJ Apocalypse, do not fear.
This is a national emergency alert. This is not a test. We are issuing an urgent, nationwide alert regarding an unprecedented weather event. Across the United States, a widespread and severe tornado outbreak is currently in progress. This outbreak is not confined to the traditional Tornado Alley region. Confirmed tornadoes have been reported in the following states: Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. These tornadoes range in size and intensity. Damage assessments are ongoing, and the full extent of the impact is still being determined. Citizens in all affected areas are urged to take immediate and decisive action to protect themselves. If you are under a tornado warning, seek shelter immediately in an interior room on the lowest level of a sturdy building, away from windows. If you are in a mobile home or vehicle, abandon it immediately and seek shelter in a designated community shelter or a substantial building. Cover your head and neck with your arms. Please stay tuned to local news and weather channels for the latest updates and specific instructions for your area. It is imperative that the public understands that this tornado outbreak is only one aspect of a larger global weather phenomenon currently affecting every nation across the world. We are only in the initial stages. Further severe weather events, including additional tornadoes, are expected. The situation is dynamic and evolving rapidly. The United States government is working with all available resources to monitor the situation, provide assistance, and mitigate the effects of this global storm. Your safety is our top priority. Please remain vigilant, follow instructions from local authorities, and assist your neighbors where possible. We will continue to provide updates as they become available. This is a national emergency. Please act accordingly.
This storm all week, but this is insane. I have to admit, maybe I was wrong when I said that they might be blowing this whole thing out of proportion. We're seeing conditions intensify at an absolutely terrifying rate as this thing rips its way across the country, and many areas are experiencing sustained hurricane winds the likes of which we have simply never, ever witnessed, and we're talking Category 6 strength, if that were even a thing. They are absolutely ripping cities across the country to bits. I mean, the streets of the nation's cities, they are just literally corridors of death with flying shards of glass and metal traveling at speeds of up to 250 miles an hour. My God, they would just decapitate any living thing in their path. And if battling all that isn't bad enough, other communities are being ripped apart by tornadoes. Reports are flooding in describing these things as the biggest since records began. We're talking mile-wide monsters, folks, mile-wide. And if you thought you were safe from wind and twisters, well, think again, because other parts of the country are being absolutely bombarded with hail, if you can even call it that. We're not talking golf balls, people. We're talking grapefruit-sized chunks of ice smashing through windshields, tearing holes in roofs, causing absolute unadulterated carnage. And the worst part of it all is that the experts keep saying this is still only the start. I mean, if this is only the beginning, what in the hell has Mother Nature got in store for us next? I'm legitimately afraid to find out. And by the way, if you're hearing us now, you're one of the lucky few, because unsurprisingly, there are already power outages across large parts of the country. It's a blackout, folks. Tens of millions are without power. And that number is going to increase in the coming hours. We don't know ourselves how long we're going to remain on the air, but we will remain on it as long as possible. At the moment, we're running on emergency generators, and we're going to keep broadcasting until the last spark flickers out. But we're somewhat lucky here at the studio, I guess, because we've got a flat, concreted roof. If we didn't, I have no doubt the roof would have been ripped off by now. We are experiencing hurricane winds that you would imagine could only take place on another planet, not here on planet Earth. And the studio is soundproofed, so any outside noise is normally blocked out, and it might be helping somewhat, but there's no way you can stifle that sound, which sounds like a freaking freight train is trying to break down the door. Elsewhere in the world, other nations are suffering the same fate as this global storm tests the limits of human resolve. Reports are coming in from, well, everywhere actually. Coastal parts of Australia are reporting record wind speeds. Now, hold on to your hats, folks. Get this. We are talking wind speeds of up to 318 miles per hour. That is absolutely insane. The fastest wind speed ever recorded before that was also in Australia on Barrow Island in 1996. That was 253 miles an hour, so that record has been absolutely shattered already. And these winds are forecast to get even faster and stronger, with experts warning they could reach, wait for it, 450 miles per hour at the peak of this global storm. That is, I mean, I am literally speechless. Could anything possibly withstand that kind of force? That would be just absolutely crazy. What would that even look like? But anyway, as for here, I don't yet know what speed the winds have reached here in the United States. And to be honest, I couldn't possibly guess, but they're fast. I know that much. And just in the last minute or so, I can hear the intensity of the storm outside increasing. It's just getting that bit louder and a bit more. Oh my God, something has just absolutely clattered into the side of the building. I'm sure you must have heard that. I have absolutely no idea what that was. It sounded almost like a car crashed into it, but I really don't know. I would imagine the wind probably blew something into it. Maybe a piece of galvanizing or something, but it almost sounded too big, too heavy. To be something like that, maybe a tree was blown against it. I don't know, but we're all good. It definitely gave me a bit of a fright, but we're all...
Oh my God, just listen to that. Lord Almighty, now that's something you don't hear every day. If that don't sound like the end of the world, I don't know what does. If you've just joined us, I was supposed to be giving you updates on what's happening around the country, but we've lost all communication. We don't know what in the hell is going on, to be honest. We just know it's not good. But we're going to stay on the air as long as we can, and I hope you're all doing okay wherever you are. Just sit tight. There's not much else we can do apart from doing the right thing and hoping that's enough, because this is just the start of a very long and difficult time. And because when the storm does pass, we're going to have one hell of a cleanup mission on our hands, and that will be the next biggest challenge. In fact, it will be a lot more challenging than having to sit tight and wait this thing out. Millions of homes and businesses will have to be rebuilt, not just here, but all across the world, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of loss of life and grief. So we've got to be there for our family and friends and our neighbors and help each other through this. And As I was saying a moment ago, we no longer have any information on what has happened around the country. We have lost communication. There's obviously a blackout in many parts of the country, but the station is still up and running, which is great, and the backup generator is obviously putting in a good shift. But yeah, the last we heard, there was tornado outbreaks across many states. I think about 17 or 18 states in total, and what we're experiencing, as I'm sure you know because you're within our range, so you're probably experiencing the same thing, is hurricane winds of apocalyptic proportions. We can hear things crashing around outside, we can hear things smashing off the building, we can literally feel the building shaking from the force of the wind and the things hitting it, and it's a strong structure too, but we can still feel it. It's pretty terrifying what Mother Nature is capable of, but at least there's no twisters in our vicinity. It would be impossible for them to develop in these conditions.
I'm talking extraterrestrials, people. ETs, space monkeys, little green assholes with weather control machines they probably bought at a galactic pawn shop. You think this is just some natural disaster? A couple of souped up hurricanes and tornadoes doing the tango? Bullshit! Wake up, sheeple! This is precision weather fucking, and it's them goddamn space lizards who's doing it. And why? Well, you a goddamn dumbass if you have to ask that question, and don't go thinking you some sort of smart ass because the first word that came to mind was resources. Wrong. It's entertainment. This is all for sadistic purposes and pleasure. We're dealing with a bunch of extraterrestrial Ted motherfucking Bundys, and they're up there getting a good kick out of watching us suffer. That's all it comes down to, people, and it'll last as long as they want it to last. A week, a month, 10 goddamn years, if they feel like it. Right now there's some asshole of an alien overlord sitting in his spaceship, sipping space martinis and betting his buddies how far he can fling a Walmart greeter with a Category 6 hurricane. We're just cosmic entertainment, a reality show with a body count. And you know what the worst part is? We're letting them. We're all sitting here arguing about fucking pronouns and pineapple on pizza while these green goblins are kicking a million different colors of shit out of our planet. And what's the end game? Well, let me tell you, after they've wrung us dry and the dust settles, you know what they're going to do? They're going to turn Earth into one giant compost heap. All those bloated, decomposing corpses, fertilizer, prime alien soil enrichment will be growing their goddamn fucking space cabbage. And the survivors, well, they'll wish they were dead. They'll be shipped off to planet Eurectum or some shit. Slaves. That's what they'll become, slaves. The last remnants of humanity. Forced to spend the rest of their days massaging the aliens' warpticles and freaky fucking ass flappers. Well, I got news for you, you pointy-eared pricks. You're not gonna take Mike the Pike alive. I ain't becoming no goddamn interstellar circus freak or alien fertilizer to feed the fucking cabbages. Hell no! If you slimy sons of extraterrestrial bitches want to sell me as some sort of intergalactic miracle grow, you gonna have to scrape my old ass off the walls first. I got my lucky M67 grenade right here in my hand, and I'm going out with a fucking bang. So this is Mike the Pike, over and fucking out. Oh, for fuck's sake, what in the hell is going on? Piece of shit ain't working. Well, I guess I live to die another day.
Situation is really starting to spiral out of control. There's more twisters developing than was first forecast. There's reports of twisters miles wide absolutely ripping Europe to shreds, and wind speeds globally are increasing at a rate that was not thought possible. And so across the world in the United States, this global storm is developing a lot faster than first anticipated. And so this has now gone from waiting out the storm, weathering it so to speak, to absolute survival mode for all of humanity. And at the rate that wind speeds are increasing, we could be looking at apocalyptic levels of destruction, and it really is that serious. I mean, despite how dramatically we hyped up this whole thing, we could have actually drastically underestimated the strength of this storm, because what we are experiencing now is not what was forecast. It was not meant to be this strong so early on. And I fear it's going to get a lot worse. I mean, we could be looking at a situation where nothing man-made is left standing. I really mean that. So in other words, no matter where people are hiding out and taking shelter, it might not matter. this monster could become so aggressive that it just rips storm shelters out of the ground and eradicates property after property off the map. I mean, I'm talking Neptune speed winds. Winds that should not exist on our planet. Forget about 200 and 300 mile winds. I'm talking, like I said, Neptune speed winds reaching up to 1,600 miles an hour. A storm that could literally swallow the whole Earth, or maybe wind speeds reaching those on some exoplanets. And then you're talking wind speeds of up to 10,000 miles an hour. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but this is ridiculous. What we are currently experiencing is ridiculous. And for all the scientific advancements that we've made, we don't know for certain what's causing this. And so we have no idea what kind of tailspin the universe could send the Earth's weather system into. I mean, a weather phenomena that we cannot even possibly fathom.
Attention all citizens. This is not a test. We are currently experiencing a global storm of unprecedented proportions. We repeat, this is not a test. A global storm is impacting the entire nation and is currently in its early stages, building rapidly in intensity. Your immediate safety is at risk. Under no circumstances should you go outside. Across the nation, we are seeing catastrophic conditions unfold. Tornadoes have already been confirmed in 29 states, and the situation is rapidly evolving. Do not, under any circumstances, venture outdoors. The threat to your life is severe. We are also recording winds of record speeds circulating across the nation, causing widespread and devastating damage. These winds are capable of collapsing structures, compromising infrastructure, and turning debris into deadly projectiles. Furthermore, hail of record size is being reported in numerous states. This hail poses a severe risk of serious injury and death. We repeat, stay indoors. Going outside could have fatal consequences. We understand this is a frightening situation. To help you navigate this crisis, please listen carefully to the following instructions. These actions are vital for your safety and the safety of those around you. Here's what you must do. Stay informed. If you have access to a battery-powered radio, tune into your local station for updates. Aware that power outages are widespread, and we may be unable to broadcast future emergency announcements on all channels in the coming days. Secure your shelter. Seek refuge in the most interior room of your home, preferably a basement or storm cellar if available. If not, find a central room on the lowest level, away from windows, doors, and exterior walls. Gather essentials. If you have not already done so, gather essential supplies including a flashlight, batteries, a first aid kit, non-perishable food, water, and any necessary medications. Conserve your resources. Disconnect electronics. To protect your appliances and prevent electrical fires, unplug all unnecessary electronic devices. Stay away from windows. Maintain a safe distance from all windows and glass doors. Cover them with blankets or plywood if possible. Conserve water. With disruptions to infrastructure possible, conserve water in preparation for the worst-case scenario. Charge any battery packs. If you have any battery packs, make sure they are charged in case of emergencies. Prepare yourselves mentally and physically for a prolonged period of isolation. Manage your supplies carefully. We must reiterate, power outages are widespread. We may be unable to continue broadcasting emergency announcements in the coming days. If we lose the ability to communicate with you, remember the necessary action you must take to ensure the well-being of yourself and your loved ones. Stay indoors. Conserve resources. Stay informed if possible. Remain calm. Your safety and survival depend on your adherence to these instructions. We are in this together. Please remain vigilant and protect yourselves and your community. We will continue to broadcast as long as possible. Thank you for your attention.
That's clear. Clear.
4423 live, we'll get them all station.
Amanda, C7.
Hold on, I'm on the bridge.
You're what?
I need help immediately. My trailer just blew over.
Experiencing landfall right now. I can tell you that we have had intermittent moments of really powerful gusts. We're getting some right now again. Whistling inside the hotel as well. Okay, this is coming this strong, and I want to point out, I don't know if you can even see it off in the distance, but there are cars out here. I can tell you first responders, power winds, they were not going to be on the roads anymore. So anyone who is out here, presumably not a first responder, and should not be out on the road. These winds are really kicking up right now. We got some debris flying. We're going.
Listen to me, like I said, do not go outside, okay? You're afraid of the house, but the house is the best thing for you right now. If you try to get outside right now, debris will kill you.
I know, I'm so sorry. I really need you guys to help me. 940, and I don't know if anybody's called in, but there's a car. We were in the tornado, and I can see a car with somebody hurt in it. There's like 4 cars totally turned up.
This is a nationwide emergency alert system activation. This message is being broadcast on behalf of the United States. Attention all citizens of the United States. We are facing an unprecedented weather crisis of global proportions. Wind speeds have reached levels recorded, exceeding all previous models and projections. Widespread and catastrophic damage is occurring across the nation. Simultaneous extreme weather plays across the United States, including, but not limited to, hurricane-force winds, flash floods, and unprecedented hailstorms. The situation is dire. Due to the unprecedented nature and ferocity of this storm, previously established emergency guidelines and protocols have been suspended. The severity of the conditions has rendered them ineffective. We understand this may cause confusion and anxiety, but the speed and intensity of the unfolding events necessitate this action. At this time, the determination of the right course of action for survival rests with each individual. We can offer no specific instruction to guarantee safety. However, we must stress the critical importance of remaining indoors. Current wind speeds outside are capable of lifting off the ground. The risk of fatal injury from windborne debris is essential and immediate. We understand that this offers little in the way of comfort or concrete direction. We are grappling with a situation that has fundamentally altered the landscape of our world, the future of our nation, and indeed the world beyond our borders, hangs in the balance. It is with profound regret that we must inform you that this project will be the last that we will be able to send for the foreseeable future. The communication infrastructure is rapidly failing. Resources are stretched beyond their breaking point. From this point forward, you must rely on your own judgment, your own resourcefulness, and your own moral compass to navigate the crisis. Do what you must to survive. Protect yourselves, your families, and your communities. Act responsibly and with compassion. Will have far-reaching consequences. Consider the collective well-being of everyone around you. This concludes the alert system broadcast. May God be with us all.